Let's do a quick review on operations with negatives, starting with addition and subtraction. Let's say we had 3 minus 5, and now I drew a number line down here because I always feel that a number line helps me visualize what's actually happening with the number. So here we're starting at 3, so I know we're starting down here at 3, and we're subtracting 5. 3 minus 5, so subtracting, I know I'm getting smaller, I'm going to the left. So I'm starting at 3, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm finishing off at negative 2. So I know 3 minus 5 is going to equal negative 2. Next, let's take a look at negative 3 minus 1. Well, I'm starting at negative 3 here, and I'm subtracting in, so I go to the left, minus 1, and I'm finishing at negative 4. So negative 3 minus 1 is going to give me negative 4. Here we have a similar problem, negative 3 plus negative 1. Now this negative 1 here, when you're adding a negative, it's really treated the same as a subtraction. So we're starting at negative 3 again. Here we are at negative 3. Now we're adding a negative 1. So instead of going positive, since we're adding a negative, we're going back to the left, 1, which is going to finish us off at negative 4. So negative 3 plus negative 1 is also negative 4. Lastly, we have 2 minus negative 1. So we're starting off at 2, which will be right here. Now we're subtracting. So the subtraction would tell us we're going to the left, but this time we're subtracting a negative. So these two negatives, it's subtracting a negative, is actually forcing it into the opposite direction. This actually turns into 2 plus 1. So at this starting point 2, we're going to the right one, and our answer is actually 3. Now when I see a subtraction of a negative, I kind of like to think, well, let me take this line here and this line here and put them on top to make a plus sign. Now multiplication and division is pretty straightforward. If you ever have a negative and a positive, your answer is going to be a negative. If you ever have two negatives, a negative and a negative, your answer is going to be positive. Let's do a few quick examples. Here we have negative 3 times 4. Well, I have a negative 3, a positive 4. That's going to give me a negative 12. Next, I have a positive 6 divided by a negative 2. That's a positive and a negative. My answer is going to be negative 3. Next up, we've got negative 2 times negative 5. We've got a negative times a negative, so we know the answer is going to be positive, and it's going to be positive 10. Last, we've got a negative 10 divided by negative 1. Again, a negative divided by a negative is going to give us a positive, and this is also going to be a positive 10.